Okay, we're going to continue with our post-race press conference here with our race winning driver and crew chief, Chris Buescher and Scott Graves. Congratulations to you both. We appreciate you spending some time with us. We are going to roll straight into questions, and to kick us off, we're going to start with Jordan.
I just want to point out that we have swords, so you better be nice, all of you.
Jordan Bianchi, the Athletic. What's Brad Keselowski like as a team owner?
It's been really special. I've talked about it a lot through different events, different appearances, different sponsor get-togethers, and I've had a lot of teammates through my Cup career that have been passionate and put in a lot of effort, but none like Brad. And I think it's comes from a level of success that he's had in this series and winning a championship and winning races and coming in having just that little extra skin in the game a lot more skin in the game as an owner as well. And it's been really fun. Been able to lean on him at a lot of tracks that have been my weaker places and get a lot better at those places and make some big progress. So it's been really good through the year. We didn't fire off as good as we had hoped. The duels were big to sweep those, but the Clash didn't fire off as good as we hoped, and spent the first couple months trying to get traction underneath our feet, and we came into some really good runs there early summer, and we've had a lot of really good months here with a little bit of rough luck along the way, and a little bit of cleanup just needed in some different areas, and we've been close, and that was exciting internally. Everybody at the shop sees it, but it's a little harder for our casual fans to read into some of the things that we're talking about and the successes that we feel like the many wins that we've had internally. And this just put a cap on all that and really shows everybody that the progress that we've made through the summer and through the year and as Brad's come over and really just poured so much heart and soul into the organization as well as Jack and everybody back at RFK.
How specifically has Brad made you a better driver?
I think I think about Phoenix is my most specific example that I always come back to, but there's been a handful of these along the way at racetrack's not historically been my best track. It just hasn't been, and I don't have a good reason why or didn't at the time, and we got to go out there and run a test with Brad really early on where ran a day, and then Brad got in the car and ran the second day, and it was one of those where he gets out and says, look, you're focusing on the wrong things, or maybe don't focus as hard on these. Focus here, move it around. And he said, this is where I've had success, try this. And that's helped me at a lot of racetracks that we've gone to this season to be better at those places, to see his passion in it and the amount of effort that he puts in each and every weekend. Just drives everybody to put in all the effort we possibly can to get to right here, right? To be sitting here after a race and celebrating.
And overall in the organization outside of the race car, what does Brad provide to RFK that maybe wasn't there before?
I guess there's not one thing, right? There's a lot of things that have happened through the off season, through the season that continue to change. Whether that is cleaning up some of our process. I think Brad's come in and been a detail guy. Really dove into some of the smaller pieces that'll add up to bigger pieces. And we've come in and a lot of it's the most obvious is aesthetics that have been cleaned up and straightened out, and that goes towards pushing a higher work ethic and a better sense of pride in what we're putting on the racetrack. We've had really nice race cars at the track each and every week, and that started from just cleaning up a little bit. And as you go along the list and you get some of his knowledge that he's built through the years, I think he's been thinking about this team owner thing for a really long time. And I think it's been good to have him come over and kind of rejuvenate Jack as well. I think I've seen Jack smiling a whole lot more in the last couple months than I had in a really long time, and that's been awesome to see at the same time. So I think it's brought some more excitement back to the shop. I think it's brought some more success back to the shop as well.
All right, we're going to go Mark, and then we'll go Seth, and then we'll go Michael.
Okay, my screen just disappeared. Mark Arrow with PRN. What kind of deal was it for it to hang over your head. 223 races since the last win at Pocono. 2,238 days you had to live with that. How did you live with that? How did you deal with that?
I didn't count them. I don't like that stat one bit, but at least it reset here today. And we've had some really close ones this year. The progress and the speed has been there at a lot of places. We've come back on Monday and been happy for a lot of reasons, and really upset on some missed opportunities or some small things that we felt like could have completely changed some of our days, and or some big things like catching on fire at Indy. There's been a lot of moments through the summer, really through the season, that we could add up and say we've been sneaking up on this. So it's nice to put together. Scott made a great call, and all day long, really, we got our track position after not qualifying as good as we had hoped, and got up front for a lot of the race, and was able to run away with it at the end. And I think about the Pocono win, and that one was special. But this has been the one where I would take over any other race, whether it's the 500, the Coke 600. This is the one I've wanted for forever, and that makes this one that much better, right? It's aside from all the numbers and the days passed since the last one, it just means that much more that this was the one that we did pull off.
So through the years and all those days, you never thought about that? Never thought about the distance between that first win?
Like I said, I thought about it, but I just didn't count them. It came up in the shop this week that this was our 250th start, and I thought that through and thought back through the years. I was like, man, it's been a rough go at times, and I've been sitting here trying to fight for top 20s at different points of my career, and that's not where we're at this year. It's not where we've been looking to. We've had high expectations from the get-go, and I think a lot of that does come from Brad coming over and kind of hitting a reset button. Nobody was ever content with 20, but it was like we needed baby steps to kind of work our way back up, and this was a big reset this season to say, look, we need to be winning races, and trying to put everything else behind you other than the last week, and try and learn from that one to get better. So, I guess it's crossed your mind that it's been a long time, and it's wasn't counting 2,234 days or whatever that was for sure.
All right, we're going to go to Seth. Go ahead.
Seth Eggert, KickingTires.net. This is for Scott. In 2015, you got your first championship in the Xfinity Series with Chris. This is your first win as a Cup Series crew chief. So is it a little bit of coming full circle?
Yeah, for sure. I've been at this a long time on the Cup side, and when I got the chance to get back together to work with Chris, at the end of last year, was really excited about it. And getting into this year, we've been close a couple times, and to finally get this win, especially at Bristol, because of we were just talking about it just a couple days ago, that 2015 we almost won the Xfinity race, and it came down to a caution with 2 to go, and we were ran out of fuel basically on the restart, and lost that one. But this makes up for it for sure. So it means a lot here, obviously, to get this win and to get it with Chris. It definitely means a lot. It's a really big race.
All right, our next question will go to, yes, perfect, thank you.
Michael Massey, front stretch. Chris, Geno Smith, quarterback Geno Smith had a great quote last week. People tried to write me off. I didn't write back. Do you think there was a time where, maybe the industry or fans or anyone, you were a top prospect coming in, winning the Xfinity title, but do you think there was a time during this drought where people did write you off?
Maybe. I don't care, though. I think that we've stayed at what we've known through the years. Tried to understand that do the best with what we had, and we made good things happen with opportunities that people didn't expect, and so we weren't necessarily written off, but we were underdogs a lot through the years, and maybe were a little bit coming into this season as well. And I think that we've had a performance that that has showed that that's not where we're at. For the majority of this season at this point, we've had really strong runs, and I don't think that that's us at this point. If it was, so be it. I don't think it's bothered me one bit. Right here, win races, and it's been a long time. And like I said, I wasn't counting the days, but know that wanted this thing really bad, and think back to some of the races this season, and we've been so close at them, and had things happen along the way, and honestly, I'm okay with that. We got to win at the one we wanted the most, and like Scott said, this is something that we've talked about leading into Bristol a lot. Wishing there was 2 concrete races here to have more shots at it. Just trying to redeem ourselves from a race that really just punched us right in the throat right at the very end after having a really dominant day, and this makes up for that in a really big way.
Okay. Real quick, we're going to go up to the press box for a question. Go ahead, press box.
Hey, Chris, this is Jeff Birchville of John City Press. You mentioned 3 or 4 different times about how special it was to win at Bristol, and just talk about a little bit about that atmosphere tonight. It seemed like it was really electric with just such a big crowd here tonight and everyone into it.
Yeah, this place has that special feel, and we always talk about coming into it. The excitement I got walking through that tunnel yesterday and seeing clean concrete, was really big. I don't mind the dirt race, but this is my favorite racetrack on a paved surface, and so when we lose that to dirt, it hurts a little bit more than it would if if a Richmond was covered in dirt. So. It was. It's always special coming in here. We had a great crowd tonight. Fans were jacked up. It's a long day of waiting to hopefully hold out for weather, and we had fantastic weather tonight. Got to get our whole racing without any worries of any of that. It was a great temperature out. Fans showed up in huge numbers, and it's just great to see the fans and packing the stands here at Bristol again. So. That adds to everything else on top of this being my favorite racetrack. I'm not saying that because we're sitting here at Bristol. I've gotten in trouble at a lot of different racetracks for saying that on their stages beforehand and gotten yelled at, but it's the truth. This is the one we've been looking forward to for a really long time, and it's just a special place. It's unlike anywhere else we go.
All right, hold for 1 minute. Does anyone have any questions for Scott Graves? If not, I'm going to let him go. Okay. Let me take these 2 for Scott. I'll let him go, and then we'll continue with Chris. Go ahead, Jeff and Nate, and then we'll continue. Go ahead. Right here.
Yeah, just the tire strategy. Did you have an idea going in that they were not going to wear? I mean, Brad went the whole first stage, obviously, and
Yeah.
It worked out.
Yeah, after watching, we through practice, saw lap times were not a lot of fall off, and then just watching the races here the last few days, just gave me more of a sense of kind of back to 2015-16, where it was just about the track position and staying out, and really felt like tonight was just going to come down to who could be in first on the last restart and controlling the race. Was a little concerned, we were playing it right, led through most of the second stage, and then some guys got a little more aggressive. We were kind of waiting until we could get to windows to pit for the last time and put tires, and I was a little concerned that we gave it up because we were back in like 4th or 5th, and then I knew at that point we were even with everybody in front of us. And when that last caution came out, I was like, well, the only shot we got is just to put 2 tires on it here and try to get out in front of them. So luckily it did. I mean, the rights were the only thing I was concerned about. There was almost zero wear on the left side tires, and I was only worried about the rights just for some of the failures at lap time. Like say the fall off was pretty minimal. So that was just our opportunity to get it back out front, and I knew if we can get there, then we could keep the lead.
All right, Nate.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. That was sort of my question, Scott. I guess following up, were you worried when Keselowski had his tire problem? Did you get any feedback on that?
Yeah, I was. I was a little bit worried at that point because it had been mostly confined to the Penske cars. and I didn't think we were going to have any issues at that point. We had that one long run. We had 110 laps on tires on one run, and really didn't see any issues. So I wasn't too worried. And then as soon as Brad had it, I mean, I knew where all their settings were and where they were on pressure, and I was like, we're right there with them. So definitely a little bit of concern, and I think everybody else did too, and that's probably why everyone went from the really aggressive, they were just going to stay out, to when that last caution happened, then everybody hit pit road. So it just kind of changed the tone a little bit at that point.
As a crew chief, what was it like watching this race where first time that the next-gen car has been on the concrete with the high loads, and obviously there were a lot of durability problems for a lot of people. I mean, did you kind of expect that coming in, or was it even maybe more of a race of attrition than you expected?
A little bit. I mean, we knew it would be a test. I thought, we'd been to Dover. That's pretty high load, one of the highest loads, tracks that we see. I guess the difference here is just everyone was probably on a different steering ratio, a little bit quicker steering, and maybe that put things in a little bit higher load. Tested that part of the car out that hadn't really been seen before. So thought, wasn't completely surprised that we saw some issues. But I was surprised, there were a bunch of steering rack issues, it seemed like. And then the failures, just not sure on the tire failures we were seeing. But not knowing where guys were at with, with settings and things like that, luckily we were conservative enough to not have an issue.
Okay, we're going to go with Jacob with one last question for Scott.
Jacob Silman kicking the tires. I'll actually get Chris to kind of chime in a little bit, and then Scott, you can follow. Chris, you said on TV that you weren't worried at all when Scott, called for the 2 tires, and that you were just gonna drive it at the end. Does that illustrate, obviously you two have worked together a lot. Does that illustrate the faith that you've had in Scott atop the pit box all the time you've worked together?
Yeah, I think last year we kind of picked up pretty quickly where we left off several years back, and come down to the end of the race, and I'm in no position to make that decision for where I'm at. I was sitting there, we kind of been running about 4th or 5th, and he didn't tell me until we were pulling into the pit box about 4 stalls away, so I didn't have time to argue anyway, but I was on board with it. As soon as he said, I was like, all right, we're going to get this track position. We're going to fight with all we got on this restart and try and take off. And I don't know what the other cars were on there at the end, but I felt like watching Brad have his issue definitely had me a little bit nervous from inside the car. But where we're at, unfortunately not in the playoffs, but figured there's no reason to let up. We have nothing to lose here tonight, so we'll stay after it, and whatever happens, happens. And so, no, I felt confident that he had the information to make that call, and trusted that was going to give us the track position to be on the front row there at the end. We had good calls earlier that had put us up there, and in a fast race car that we were on the front row and got a lot of practice up there restarting, and I think we were 100% on right lane choice from the front row and maintaining the lead. So had a good idea where we needed to be for that last restart, and that all helped from my standpoint.
Scott, how have you seen Chris grow as a driver from when you first worked with him to where you guys are now, and what makes this relationship between the two of you click like it does?
I think, from when I first started working with him, I think just, the confidence he has now has grown a lot. And, I did this year, obviously, the car, the confidence and the aggression that he's been able to show has just really been a step up, from what I've seen. So just, really proud of him for that, from what he's been able to do, and actually, get the win here tonight is just kind of a huge accomplishment on that end of it. So I think, for what works between us, like, neither of us get stressed out. It's just, he's calm, and I try to stay calm. I mean, whether I'm calm internally or not, I try to stay calm, and I think that's just a big part of it, because we're able to talk our way through things, and we always seem to be, going forward. Like, we make can make adjustments throughout a race, and we can figure it out and move forward, and that's just a big part of it. And if I feel like a lot of times, if you're in a panic mode and a lot of things spiral out of control, and that's just not us. It works well from that standpoint.
All right, Scott, thanks for hanging with us for a little bit. You are good to go.
Internally,
Chris, unfortunately, you have to stay for a little bit longer. We'll start with Steven.
Finish up there. Steven Toronto, CBS Sports. Chris, you've had, during your Cup career, you've had really good races and really good runs in spurts, it feels like. But tonight, obviously, not only do you get the win, you also set a new career high for laps led. That actually, I think, shattered that mark by a wide margin, and obviously got the victory. So do you feel like this is, and I know this is easy to say because you won, but do you feel like this is the most complete race that you've ever run in your Cup career?
Probably, because there's a trophy at the end of the day. But I think back, it was a smooth day. It wasn't a day where we had to fight and claw and overcome a lot of adversity. And I think we talked a lot this year because we've had those days. And Indy, for instance, we had speed to win that race, or to fight with the 8 car for that one. And we caught on fire. We were laps down until 6 laps to go. We finally got on the lead lap, and we fought hard all day long and clawed our way back to 10th. And that's one that you sit there, and we came back on Monday, and we're like, man, if things could have gone a little smoother and we wouldn't fight all the adversity throughout most of the race, that could have been an opportunity. There's been a lot of races like that where we've been strong. We've had good showings. We've steadily built on our speed during the race. We've made good adjustments. We've had good pit stops, but we've had something somewhere along the way hit us, whether it was bad luck, whether it was poor choices from behind the steering wheel, whether it was on pit road, whatever it may have been. We've had things come up on some of our best days that have prevented us from sitting here right now. So, we didn't have to fight near as hard today. We had speed from the get-go. Fast cars fix a whole lot of things, and we had that through practice. Qualifying was a big disappointment for us, and I guess maybe that was the biggest hurdle we had to overcome was not being where we needed to be after qualifying. And I felt confident in our race car. I told everybody, I was like, I'm not stressing about this right now. I am really happy with where we're at, and I think we have a good shot. Love this racetrack. I always feel like we have a shot coming here. So, it was one of those days where we all executed well, and we didn't have that big slap in the face somewhere along the way that we had to try and shake off and get back going. And at this level and at this level of competition that we've seen week in, week out, you have to put together everything in the same night, and we did that tonight.
You mentioned having fast cars, and the last time the Cup Series was on a short track before this was Richmond, and there you were contending for the win there. I know you had good runs to that point before and were on a pretty good streak, but was that almost a eureka moment for this race team?
The fact that it was at Richmond, yeah. I would have told you to fill that place with water and stock it with fish for a lot of years in my career. And this year has been a pretty good reset for me. I had friends at Richmond that worked at the track, and they gave me a really hard time because I was not easy, and I did not make their jobs easy. But it's a place where I really struggled through the years, and to come there this year and have 2 good runs, but to be that close in that race, that was like, man, we've found something, not only on our road course side, but on our short track side of things. Our mile and a halves have been okay. They've been competitive, more competitive than we've been in the past, but not where they need to be. And we have loved going to Richmond and seeing that speed there. And I think that did kind of give us that step back of put some more focus into this, not only the road course side but short tracks. And Bristol, like I said, is one that I've had circles for so long. Put a lot of focus into this thing and worked hard to be ready for it. Dover, we had great speed, got our first pole at Dover, and it's probably the track that we're able to lean into the most to be ready for this one. So that really was kind of the kickoff of our runs through the summer, that the momentum that we've been able to build. And so today probably started with that race a long time ago to be here right now.
Right. Thanks, Chris.
Well,
Over here, Chris.
Chris Weaver, Fox 8, WGHP High Point. Scott and you both talked about the tire strategy and staying calm, but at what point in the race did you say, all right, I've got a car that can win this thing? And then after the tire strategy deal and you're up front, what do you do in your head to stay calm and keep it out front?
I'm always calm. Scott said, Scott put it well that internally we may have our fights and our demons. I get a lot of that out without keying up a radio button, so most people never see it, never hear it, and including our team, and do that on purpose because I know that I don't always think the clearest in the absolute moment, and I've been around a lot of those moments through my career, working on race cars, working on teams, and did not see the benefit in it. I've seen it deject everybody behind the pit wall, up on the pit box, and really have everybody kind of scratching their heads, wondering what to do. Having that fit is not. I've not seen it be productive. It works for some people. Some people need it, and that's fine. But that's not me. That's not Scott. That's not our team. And try and get those out of the way real quick, and then hit the button and talk about what needs to be talked about to get better. And so we come down to the end of the race, and like I said, he didn't give me any time to fight him on the 2 tires, 4 tires. I knew we were going to put something on it, and after watching Brad's hard luck there, I was like, okay, this is going to hit the reset button to where don't have to worry about that in the last 60 laps. And as we're pulling the box, he said, right sides only. I was like, let's go. Like, let's take this shot. Let's do it. Let's gamble. We have nothing to lose here. There's one thing that hurts about tonight, and it's the fact that this was not 4 races ago and put us into the playoffs, because with the speed we've had, I feel like we could have drove through a couple of rounds. Who knows? We won't know at this point. But it's the only thing that hurts about tonight. Everything else was awesome, and everything else is definitely on the up and up. So it's a really special one. Like I said, this favorite racetrack. This is the one I wanted to win. I'd take this over at Daytona 500 any day of the week.
Kelly.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Did Chris Buescher win this race, or did Christopher Buescher win this race?
Well, Christopher was on the car. I talked about coming into it. I was like, man, maybe I need to cut that off because we've had some rough luck the last 2 weeks. Has not gone near as well with my full name there. So now I don't know what to do. Now we're gonna roll with it. So I know my mom is punching the air right now that the name she gave me was on the race car. I got it to Victory Lane, so that was she's been the biggest fan of Dale Jr. ever since that moment. But it's been really fun to play along with that and have some good times with it. I told everybody I started shortening it because everybody in middle school was already done with their tests by the time I wrote my full name out. So I had to try and catch up. So probably regret it a little bit now, but it's been fun to play along with it, and we'll keep with it through the end of the year, and we'll see where it goes.
Brad said one of the first things when he signed his deal with Roush was to see what your deal was, and that he put a contract extension in front of you. So how good does it feel that he came in and he believes so much in you, and that it seems like you're going to be secure for a pretty long time with this organization?
Yeah, it's been here a long time already, so it just keeps adding on. It's especially it's home, right? It's Jack and Robbie Reiser and with the help of Ken and David Reagan and several other people along the way, really gave me my shot at professional auto racing, right? And that was at Roush Fenway Racing at the time. And it's been a really special place where I've gotten to develop and basically build my skill set and be able to go win a lot of races through different series. And not as many on the Cup side as we wanted, not even close. And for Brad to come over in the ownership role and have that faith in me early on meant a lot to me. A guy that's won so many races, championship and at the top level motorsports in the country. That's a pretty big pat on the back when we haven't always had the results to show for it. So I think it goes to me to say that people have been paying attention when we make the most of the situations that we've been in and do our best to have a 10th place day and make it a 7th or whatever it may be, and always do that and always put in 110%. So I've had really good teammates through the years at different organizations at the Cup level, but nobody that's put in the amount of effort as Brad Keselowski, and probably comes from the ownership side of it as well. I don't know if it would be the same without that side of it, but I feel like the answer is probably yes. He's very passionate about it. He puts in the work and the time and the effort to be able to make this thing successful. And we've seen it this year. Everybody back at the shop's done a fantastic job and really adapted well to huge changes through the offseason, right? The next-gen car has been a huge step in learning process for everybody. And everybody embraced it and got after it. And we've been close at times, and they always hurt a little bit to miss out on them. And I don't remember who told me, but I was told after Sonoma, you got to lose a few before you can win them. And so felt like we lost a few this year that got us to where we were ready to win this one.
So that's a good segue. Last way I wanted to bring up, you talk about the first pole this year, the good runs, the runs where you guys have been way off. You've been upside down, you've been on fire. So is it almost like, of course, you're going to win a race, and not only win a race, but win a race where you take home a sword?
At this point, nothing was going to surprise me in this year. I don't know how I've gotten to be the test dummy for so much of this. My came back from Indy. My dad's like, "Hey, do you get hazard pay for doing all this? Like, this has been awful. You've hit all the low lights along the way, and it's been a ride. I've had a lot harder go this year. Torn up a lot more equipment than I'm used to in my career as well, and that doesn't sit well with me because something I've taken pride in a long time. Worked on a lot of my own race cars, and seen the bills on cars growing up, and seen what my family sacrificed to do this, and worked very hard to make sure that I was taking care of Jack's stuff through the years. And this one's been a tough go. We've had some moments, but we've had the high spots as well, and that's really helped keep us rolling. That there's been progress along the way, even with the tough ones, whether it was barrel rolling at a track where you would never think about a car flipping, not being the first one on fire, but the one that put on the biggest show out of it until Harvick outdid me. So it's been a ride, but wouldn't trade it for anything because we've learned from each and every moment along the way. That's a lie. I'd trade some of those. Yeah, I probably would, but we did learn from all of it to be able to keep moving forward.
Any final questions for Chris? All right. Well, congratulations, Chris. Good luck next week in Texas.
Thank you very much. Glad to be going home.